Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you are continuing with us down Shelby Snail's route. This is going to be episode number 2. In the last episode, she volunteered to be Shelby's wife with a really high pay increase just to keep his secret going and so the company doesn't go under in the process, and that's where we are now.
MQ、お前から得た情報通り、あいつは一人暮らしのようだな。愛妻家なんてやはり嘘だったというわけだ。
We kind of had a feeling it would be their rival place that would be looking into them.
ご確認いただけてよかったです。ところで、その MQ というのは？
コードネームだ。いつ我らの会話が傍受されるかわからんからな。
はあ。それでは、あなた様のことは何とお呼びすれば？
そうだな。私のことは007と呼んでくれ。まあ、特に意味はないがな。スパイ映画っぽくてかっこいいだろう。
You're gonna be called 007.
そうですね。それで、例の件は？
まあ、それだが、雑誌社に独身だという話をしても、残念だが思うほど効果はなかった。やはり証拠がなければ信じられないというわけか。ということで、証拠を掴んで世間にばらまくぞ。だが、その証拠集めがなかなかに難しい。なんなんだ？あのセカムとかいうやつらは。
That's their job.
警備会社です。セカムの他にも多数加入しているようですね。
伊達にキューピッドコーポレーションの社長じゃないというわけか。秘密を暴くのも一苦労だ。
Deepest, darkest secret.
だが必ずあの青二歳の尻尾を掴んでやる。お前、いい案はあるか？
ええ、私に考えがあります。お任せください。
So suspicious. Few days after the second dinner party, I wanted to see the dinner party. I was with Mr. Snail, who was driving us to work. Our morning schedules had somehow miraculously started to line up. Oh, I wanted to see the second one. Being able to drive to work is so much more comfy than taking the subway. I'd always taken the subway up until now, so this was totally a feeling new to me. I wonder if they're gonna get caught driving together like this. Oh, there's a new cafe over there, and that restaurant looks pretty tasty.
車からの景色がそんなに楽しいのか?
You must have noticed the sparkle in my eye as I gazed outside. I let out a small giggle. It really is. I almost never get to ride in cars like this, so I'm having a blast. Oh, that cafe looks so nice.
それはよかった。そういえばコンペの方はどうだ?
I actually finished it. Today's the deadline, so I'm planning to submit it first thing in the morning.
そうか。結果を楽しみにしてる。
Thanks. The scenery continued to change gradually until we finally got to 7th Avenue and Cupid Corp headquarters. Mr. Snail suddenly spoke up as if something had just occurred to him.
なあ、そういえば先日話していた秘書の件なんだが、ちょうどいい人が見つかって今日から入ってもらうことになった。
Oh, I already know how this is going to play out. My guess is the new secretary is a spy for the other group. That's my guess. Oh, really?
なあ、 お前には相談に乗ってもらったからな。よければ先に挨拶していってくれ。お前も知っている人物だ。
Oh. Is it a Parasite 5 then?
ということで、彼が2人目の秘書のピーター・フラージュ氏だ。
Of course. That would be my third guess.
ピーターと呼んでくれ。よろしく頼む。
Also, I was wondering, but I saw the profile of MQ, and it had very wild curly hair, just like that. I'm like, Gil? No, it's not going to be Gil. But this guy looks like he has wild curly hair too. He's totally a spy. Peter is the new secretary? The guy who didn't know which end of the camera was up?
今では完璧に使いこなせるようになった。テレビ局で散々こき使われたからな。
Peter looked extremely proud of himself as he held out his hand to me. I reluctantly shook it and just stared at him to make sure it really was the same Peter. He was the assistant director when he shot Paradise House, but he also talked during the broadcast, held the camera upside down, and all kinds of silly stuff. But he did make it all the way up to the assistant director, so he must know what he's doing.
彼も私と同じハーフォース大学出身らしくてな。秘書が足りないという話をしていたら、ちょうど転職先を探していると先輩に聞いたんだ。
Harvard? Really?
本来であればオーウェンに案内を頼むところだが、彼は今日有給でな。可能であればお前に社内を案内してもらいたい。できるか？
I don't have any interviews or anything today, just a little paperwork to sort out. I'd already submitted my competition entry, so I really didn't have anything important to do. Sure, it would be my pleasure.
助かる。では、あとは頼んだ。
Upon hearing my answer, Mr. Snell sat down at his desk and got straight to work. Seeing that the president was already absorbed in his duties, Peter immediately turned to me. He's going to see her. He's going to see her at Parasite House. I put two and two together that there's a scam going on.
なるほど。私の仕事は彼の仕事を円滑にして負担を減らすことだな。
That's right, so you'll need to learn exactly how things work here at Cupid Corp.
覚えるのは得意だ。任せてくれ。
He nodded confidently and walked off without prompting. I quickly followed after him. He had plenty of self-confidence, that much was clear. But...
ここはオフィスだな。それであそこが面談室だろう。おう、これはあれだろう。講師を招いてセミナーをする場所だ。ここが結婚式場か。初めて来たが、なかなか悪くないな。
Obviously, it's your first time there. Peter really did seem to have a perfect grasp of the layout of the office without me having to tell him anything. I know, I'm calling it right now, he's a spy. Did he go to our website and research everything ahead of time or something? Our interview room, wedding hall, and workshop suite were all listed on our website, so maybe he checked it out beforehand. He seemed like a pretty dedicated, earnest person at heart. I started to think maybe my fears were unfounded. No, you got bigger things to worry about. Meanwhile, Peter was back on the move. I felt like he didn't even need me there to guide him. Well, that's pretty much everything. Do you have any questions?
いや、特にはない。それより喉が渇いたな。
Oh, well, you can just go.
あそこに確かドリンクコーナーがあったか。行ってくる。
Yeah, he even knows where your snack bar is. He took off without even waiting for me to show him the way. The area where we provided tea and coffee for our members. Wait, I don't think I told him about that area. How did he know about it? The drink corner was most definitely not listed on our website. Did he actually be a Cupid Corp member? No. But members never went over there. Advisors would always bring them their drinks, so he should have known where it was. Shouldn't have known. And yet he headed to that direction without hesitation, and now he was returning with 2 cups of coffee.
これでいいだろ
Suspicious. Thank you. He looked proud as ever as he handed it to me, then he quickly turned toward the nearby interview room.
それでは、そこの面談室あたりで休憩するとしようか。
Now, we don't usually take breaks on a whim, and our interview rooms are reserved for members. And how did you know about...
あなたが噂の2人目の秘書ね。
I knew it wouldn't be long before everyone would start, like, fangirling over him.
2人目の秘書？何の話？
A couple of coworkers noticed Peter standing there and quickly crowded around him.
ん？確かに私が新しく雇われた秘書だが。
やっぱりあれでしょ、ロサンヨーク TV に勤めてた人なのよね。優秀。どうしてうちに来たの？
ロサンヨーク TV？ 超大手企業じゃん。もったいない。なんで辞めちゃったの？
それはやはりこの会社に興味があったからだな。
Quote, interested.
まあ確かにうちは業界内最大手だけど、随分と思い切った転職ね。
それよりピーター君って独身？もしよかったら。
Wow, Peter is totally surrounded. Normally, the president secretary would never come down to this floor, so naturally everyone's curious now. And I even had to admit, Peter was pretty cute. I remember him getting chased around during the Parasite House barbecue too. Oh, yeah.
ピーター君ハーホース大学出てるの？めちゃくちゃ難関大学じゃない。
He came running up to her and he's like, help me, all these girls are chasing me. That was funny.
そういえばうちの社長もハーホース出てたわね。もしかしてその関係とか？
まあ、その。
I know, I'm surprised he kept his composure for this long. All this questioning from the 2 women was causing him to stutter. I decided it was about time for me to step in. Lost TV and Harvard University, I had no idea those places were considered so amazing. It was moments like these that made me realize just how much I still had to learn about the world. To me, Harvard was just some random college on 8th Avenue, and Lost TV was just a channel I watched with Clara sometimes. I knew it was a proper corporation and everything, but I didn't know people would get so excited about it. But if he did come from a good school and a big company, maybe he really could help lighten Mr. Snail's load. Or make it worse. And if he was able to get a little more time for himself, maybe we could actually have a meal together once in a while. Seems like a bad idea. But he still never comes home on time. Mr. Snail was still just as much of a workaholic as ever. He still stayed late at work and never took days off. I stood there stewing about it with arms folded and cheeks puffed out. What reason was there for me to even be in this house? What happened to our mission of living a normal married life? She's getting mad about this. It's adorable. All I ever did was play my part during our occasional dinner parties with his business clients. I had no clue if living here was helping to throw off whoever was hunting for Mr. Snail's secrets. And he still refuses to eat breakfast with me. Even with Peter there, his work hours stayed the same. He just drank his jelly drinks and slept as little as possible every day. Even before I wake up, get home after I go to bed, the truth was, I'd never even seen him sleep for myself. All he eats is vitamin supplements, protein shakes, and jelly drinks. I feel like that can't be good for him in the long run. He would insist that he did eat proper meals when he went out for business dinners and things like that, but he seemed to think he could do even more now that he had a second secretary. Of course, the company's performance was important, but I just wished he was willing to enjoy a little time off. He still goes swimming at the pool to keep fit, of course. I had the distinct impression that something was off with him. Even on his rare days off, he'd still meet with clients. He completely refuses to play the devoted husband role. The first chance I get, I need to explain that if he wants people to believe his lie, he needs to spend some time at home. That was all on my mind as I was preparing dinner. I was used to living here by now, so I knew my way around the kitchen. But if that's what I want from him, then I need to play the role of the perfect wife in return. Of course, I'd never been married or even fallen in love, so it was hard for me to say what a perfect partner looks like. Maybe I should watch some movies about married life instead of the ones about dating that I usually do. I thought that might help me figure out how a husband and wife should actually act. Moved around the kitchen with that in mind. A few days later, that night was Peter's welcome party. Everyone on the floor was eager to drink with him, so they excitedly put it all together.
Kanpai!
ねえねえピーターくん、どう？シェルビー社長の秘書仕事。
大変でしょ。社長って結構ストイックだから。オーウェン君とはうまくやってる？
まあ。
He's so popular, he's totally surrounded again. I was sitting at the table away from the action, nursing a drink and watching them from afar. Normally these kinds of events, Clarice and I would be drinking together, but this time I was all alone. Clarice had already gone home, saying she didn't feel very well. It's so unlike her. Clarice usually loves social events like these. I happened to notice Owen standing in the middle of their group as well. He had the same serious look as ever and just nodded and gave simple answers to each question. It was pretty obvious that neither of them were particularly comfortable being surrounded by women. The truth is, Owen and Peter were both considered two of the most eligible bachelors in the company. Except Owen's like, I think talking to a woman. He said she. That's all the company rumor mill was talking about these days. So they're both pretty popular husband candidates, huh? Of course, if I knew Mr. Snail was single, he'd probably be on the list too. He's got luck, social standing, and a healthy annual income. His one major flaw was his need to constantly be working. Although some members actually prefer guys like that. I'd rather couples enjoy each other's company, but people want what they want, and some girls didn't want their husbands home all the time. He'd be in serious demand, but since he can't reveal where he works, he can't take advantage of it. Just that one secret is enough to throw a wrench into the whole works. If he could show up to dates in person, I'm sure he would have much more success, but he absolutely refuses.
お疲れ様です。飲んでいますか?
Aw, Owen's coming to talk to us. Owen has slipped away from the crowd and was now standing next to me. Oh, hello. Yeah, I suppose so. So how's work been for you? Have things gotten better having Peter around?
ええ、おかげさまで随分と楽になりました。意外と仕事が早いのでびっくりしてますよ。
I glanced back at Peter. He was still clearly in agony. I remember that he'd mentioned he wasn't good with women at some point during the barbecue.
それより、あなたはピーターさんのところに行かないんですね。
Huh? Well, I wasn't really sure what he was trying to say. He just smiled back at me.
彼、なんだか変なんですよ。転職したばかりなのに、社内のものの配置について詳しくて。
Yep. Oh yeah, when I was showing him around on the first day, he seemed to know all kinds of stuff without me telling him.
そうなんですか。怪しいですね。この間もシュレッダー用のゴミ箱を見てましたし。
Staring at the shredder, Owen sighed and glanced at Peter. His gaze seemed to reveal a touch of suspicion. Without warning, he mumbled under his breath.
産業スパイじゃないといいんですけど。
I think you're onto something. He said it so quietly, it's like he'd forgotten I was there and was talking to himself. His ominous mumblings cast a shadow over my own mind too. Dun dun dun. I'm home. After the welcome party was over, everyone wanted to head off somewhere for round 2. I politely declined and headed home. It's pretty late. I wonder if Mr. Snail's back yet. Are you actually going to catch him home? Oh. Is he asleep? Are we going to get a sleeping CG? I opened the door to the bedroom and saw him laying there fast asleep. This is not her room, right? It looks more green than normal. Oh, good, he's actually getting some rest. I'd never seen him sleep before, so it was nice to see that was something he actually did. I want to take a bath, but I'll have to make sure I'm quiet so I don't wake him up. Oh, this could be interesting. As I left the room, I figured I'd take my bath and then pass right out. Should go sleep next to him. But a little later...
ああ、帰っていたのか。
Oh, come on. After getting out of the bath, I saw Mr. Snail standing there wearing a full suit. Oh, that's boring. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I wake you?
いや、もともとこの時間に起きるつもりでアラームをかけていた。気にするな。
You take your 30-minute nap. But it's 12:30 in the morning.
なあ、今日は早くに帰れたので先に仮眠を取ることにしたんだ。
Oh my goodness.
また仕事に戻る。
You should scold him. Tell him no. Looking at his watch, Mr. Snail turned and prepared to leave. Before he could, I grabbed his shoulder and firmly from behind. Please wait.
どうした？
Even though it's just an act, we're supposed to be husband and wife right now, right?
いや、まあ、多少語弊はあるが。
Well, that's exactly how it is. But when we have those dinner parties, it's meant to look like we're married, right?
ああ、随分と助かっている。
And we don't know when we might get exposed. We should spend as much time as we can to make it seem like you really have a wife.
どういう意味だ？
A truly devoted husband wouldn't run off to work in the middle of the night and completely ignore his wife like this. Mr. Snail frowned. It felt like he was trying to hold something back.
だが、そうした余計なことに時間を割きたくないから、この年まで独身できた。
I understand. In that case, it would be best if we've removed you from the company's membership.
どういうことだ？
You can't expect to ever get married with such a selfish way of thinking. She's scolding you now. I folded my arms across my chest and looked straight into his eyes. I knew how brazen I was being, but I felt it needed saying. If you really do want to get married, you need to show a little bit of effort. Compromise is a necessary part of marriage. Sir, you're officially still registered as a member, which means you do intend on getting married, is that correct?
無論だ。
And I've been searching every day for someone who can keep a secret and support a husband she knows she'll never get to see. But that woman just doesn't exist, and if she does, she's not interested in marriage. You're demanding a life without a husband.
そうだな。お前の言う通りだ。
So all you can do is find a wife who knows about your circumstances and is still willing to help. Do you know anyone like that?
いや、いないな。
Right, then your only option is to have me keep on pretending to be your wife instead. So one person alone can't do things that a husband and wife should do together. I can't keep this act up all by myself.
夫婦らしいこと。
Remember that dinner party the other day? They said that we didn't act like we've been married for 4 years. Okay. So this is the second dinner she's talking about. For that second dinner, Mr. Snail and I hadn't really talked for quite a while, so our conversation was really stilted.
おやまあ、奥さんは随分と遠慮しいですな。もっと奥さんを甘やかしてあげてはどうですかな、シェルビー君。
でも初々しくて可愛らしいわ。結婚して4年も経ってるのに新婚みたいで羨ましいこと。
Yes, she needs more attention.
でもきっと2人きりの時はもっと仲睦まじく暮らしてらっしゃるんでしょう。愛妻家であるシェルビーさんですもの。
I know. Loving, devoted husband. Doesn't run off at 12:30 to go to work. At the time, I hid behind Mr. Snail pretending to be bashful. In fact, I was breaking out in a cold sweat. It was crucial that we started acting more like a close couple, specifically because of the reputation he'd made for himself. But knowing him, I'm sure it's difficult for him to close that gap. That was undoubtedly the source of all this awkwardness. I was sure I messed everything up that night. I was clearly treating you like my employer instead of my husband. If we want to play our roles properly, it would be best if we could make time to talk to each other. What do you think?
いや、全くもってお前の言う通りだ。むしろ手伝ってもらっている立場なのに、お前にそこまで気を使わせてすまないな。
You don't need to apologize. I accept that this is part of my job. I was nervous about saying all that, but I'm glad I did.
仕事か。確かにそうだな。
For some reason, he suddenly looked happy. I guess thinking about this whole thing as work might have changed his perspective on it.
わかった。時間の使い方については再考しよう。そうだな。せめて朝食を一緒にとるようにするか。食事は私が作ろう。
Oh, you're going to cook? Huh? You can cook?
意外か？だが、大学時代は毎日作っていた。心配するな。
Who wouldn't be surprised? I've never seen him do anything close to cooking. I couldn't even imagine it. But if he'd been cooking since college, I figured it would probably be fine. A husband can cook for his wife would definitely earn the title of devoted. I nodded at him, deciding it was best to go along with his plan. Great, then let's do that. We'll eat breakfast together every morning, my husband.
旦那様は勘弁してくれ。
I love it. That was the kind of exchange real newlyweds should have. I decided we should get through this awkward phase as fast as possible. It's not like we can start going on dates or anything. If anyone saw us, it'd make it harder for him to find a real wife. This is a pretty tough challenge.
では、朝食の件は明日の朝から実施するとしよう。スケジュールに入れておく。
I'll add it to my schedule. Oh my goodness. He checked his watch again, then took out his phone and updated his to-do list. Breakfast as a job duty. Speaking of which, other than that one time at the pool, I'd never seen Mr. Snail outside of a work environment. Also, our mission aside, why don't you try and take some time off to relax? You did just hire another secretary after all. It didn't have to be with me, of course. I just wanted him to spend time on himself. But he just stared at me curiously.
せっかく時間が空いたんだ。ならばもっと会社を成長させるためにその余力を使うべきだろう。
I need to spend that time on doing more work. But doesn't it ever occur to you to use your extra time to, you know, rest and take it easy for a bit?
休んでどうする？何も生み出されないだろう。
Resting never created anything. Miyuki would say the same thing. No, it doesn't create anything, but don't you ever feel like watching a movie or going shopping, stuff like that?
したいこと。
Stuff like that. He repeated what I said as if the entire concept was completely alien to him. He placed his hand on his chin and frowned. He turned his head from side to side.
特に思いつくものはないな。強いて言えば、今の地位を守り、より高みを目指すことぐらいか。
Protect your status. What are you trying to protect it from? There was something that happened in his past that has caused him to want to maintain SS rank at all costs, or things happen. Maybe he sees it as self-value. There he goes again with that obsession of his. The prestige parasite. I felt like I was witnessing the return of Monsieur Essay. I'm sure his secret will come out just like Ryuki's did. After he got comfortable with you, he started sharing stuff with you. I've always wondered, why do you care so much about status and prestige and all of that?
どうしても何も。男なんて地位がなければいけない生き物だろ。
It's a very Ryuki response. When she asked about the Keisein commandments, he's like, what do you mean? This is law. The way he said it so matter of fact, I didn't know how to respond and missed my chance to say anything at all. As a god, the desire to boast of one's status was completely foreign to me. I saw no value in it. I guess it was different for humans. It reminded me of Peter, who found himself surrounded by women just because he'd gone to Harvard and worked at Lost York TV. That convinced me that Mr. Snail's general outlook on that topic must have been right, at least partially. Now that I think about it, my promotion is my top priority right now, too. My reason for that was so I could prove my dad wrong, and I was taking advantage of human social systems to do it. The other gods might not understand this concept of status, but I felt like I was starting to get it. But the way he talks about prestige still sounds off somehow. It might be important, but it couldn't be everything. The loving relationship between two people working together to realize the life of joy they want to live together. Ultimately, prestige and status couldn't be that important. I'd seen so many couples from Celestia, I knew that much.
私はただ必要最低限の努力をしているだけだ。完璧になるために手を抜いている暇はない。
Humans aren't perfect. They'll never get there.
だいたい私はまだまだ努力が足りていない。これで満足しているようではダメだ。一人前の男になどなれない。
He talked about his status at the very beginning of his route and complained that all people ever see is his status. So it's probably like family stuff too. Like his father's like, you're nothing if you're not this. What? You're not putting in enough effort. Do you seriously believe that?
当然だろう。我が社はまだ発展途上だ。確かに業界内では1位だが、それだけではダメだ。そこら中に転がっているビジネスチャンスをすくい上げ、ロサンヨーク、ひいては我が国でのトップ企業を目指す。
Entire nation. He's got a grand vision, that's for sure. If he wants to become a corporation big enough to enter the national stage, that will probably take even more work. But I definitely don't think his effort is lacking as an individual. I just want him to take better care of himself. I see. I think I understand how you feel, but when you reach the top, what then? Is there something specific he wants to do when he gets there? But when I asked him that question, he stared at me for a second, frowned, and then his gaze wavered.
トップになってか。そうだな。そうなってようやく私は男として一人前になれるんだろう。
I think you're a real man already, and a wonderful one at that.
まさか。こんな中途半端な状態ではダメだ。第一、結婚相手さえ見つけられていない。この程度の地位では不満ということだろう。
It's not your status that's not satisfying them. It's like, besides a piece of paper, you're non-existent. No, I don't think that's it. The reason you haven't found a wife isn't because of some abstract idea of status.
だが、4年より以前はどうだ。独り身だったが、それでも誰も寄りつかなかった。
With a self-depreciating smile on his lips, he picked up his work bag. It was clear the conversation was over. Aww. Self-depreciating smile. That's kind of sad that he thinks that because of his status is why no one's ever approached him in the last 4 years.
では、行ってくる。朝食は7時でいいか。
Okay, that should work for me.
わかった。
That curt reply, he was gone. In the end, he still chose work over everything else. I looked at the clock. Going into work at this hour was weird no matter how you looked at it. He really was the prestige parasite. I'd heard the phrase work-life balance a lot in the human media, but it always made me think of Mr. Snail. If you're happy with your personal life, your work gets better. If you're happy with your work, your personal life gets better. Your life and your job should act like two wheels working together. That outlook definitely makes sense to me. You can't just spin one wheel endlessly. You need to balance them out so that you can travel further and longer. The wheel metaphor was the first way I had heard it, and it's also like flying. You can't take flight with just one wing. Of course, if this is what really made him happy, it wasn't my place to say anything. I couldn't deny that I liked working too. The idea that he needs to keep working harder is just his assumption. Meanwhile, he's letting his personal life rot away. The prestige parasite, I think this particular problem runs especially deep. Yeah. I don't know what he was like when he was younger, but I find it hard to believe he's always been like this. I decided that I should try to get to the bottom of why he's so fixated on prestige and status next time I got the chance. For now, though, it's time for bed. It had been a long night of drinking and socializing, and I was completely beat. I sure wish Chi was here to give me one of his incredible massages. Chi had been disappearing at random pretty often lately. Okay. He was pretty shy, so maybe he didn't like me living with Mr. Snail. I resolved to pay him some extra attention next time I saw him, then headed to my room to get some sleep. Contract marriages and secret lessons. Well, that one wasn't as long as the other one. Still haven't got a new CG yet. But I was wondering if all of his sections are going to be like an hour long, like the first two were. Speaking of which, I need to pull up the choices just in case there is something. See where we on? There is something in. Alright. The morning after our conversation, I was in the kitchen by myself making breakfast. How many years has it been since I'd eaten a proper breakfast? I cooked for myself all through college and to save money, but since starting the company, I never really thought that much about food.
私はすべて SS だった。学生の頃の授業で作った時も評価されてきた。だから大丈夫なはずだ。
But why did I feel so nervous this morning? Is it because I never cooked for someone else before?
まさかこの年になって自分の作った料理を誰かに食べてもらうことになるとはな。
Just having someone else in my life makes me feel a little restless. I guess that's part of what people consider being married. I hate feeling like this, which is precisely why I've avoided marriage or any personal relationships. But this has to succeed.
そう、これは仕事だ。仕事だから完璧にこなす必要がある。
He's going to start accepting his imperfections, and then he's going to realize that you don't have to be perfect at everything, just like with Ryuki. I vowed to cook the perfect meal and present a loving relationship with the woman pretending to be my wife. I considered it my duty.
もう二度と会食相手にぎこちないと思わせてはいけない。分かっているんだが。
Even in that moment, I was completely focused on the woman who was still asleep in her bedroom. I wonder if she'd enjoy my breakfast, or if perhaps she'd laugh at the state of my culinary skills. In work and everything else in my life, I've been confident in the results. I've never been so unsure of an outcome before now. When it comes to food, everyone has their own opinions. There's no objective way to measure success, which made me incredibly nervous. I couldn't help but laugh at myself for being such a coward. It's ridiculous that I still feel like I should get married. She was right to yell at me the way she did. Ultimately, I just wanted to get married to further my career. I really am treating it like getting a license, which is exactly why there's no way it can go well.
正直、今の生活は理想だが。
She only says what needs saying, and she plays her role perfectly at social events. I wish actual married life could be like this. Of course, I only feel comfortable because I know it's just a job for both of us. An actual marriage wouldn't be so simple.
こうした結婚生活を実際に実現させられないなら、やはりいつかは公表すべきだろうな。損失を被ると分かっていても、長期的に見れば。その方がいいに決まっている。
Just hold out for a bit longer and then you could turn it into a real marriage. If I keep letting her be involved, eventually I'll become completely dependent on her and her own life choices will be taken away. She's only been at the company for 2 years and she has a bright future ahead of her. She may even fall in love herself someday. She says that will never happen, but that's just her youth talking. I can't force her to do this forever. And yet, I'm still taking advantage of her kindness because I know she's truly worried about the company and would do anything to protect it. Last night she kept me from going to work in order to improve our relationship. She knew it would be hard, but she did it anyway. Even among friends, it's hard to say things like that, and I'm the company president. What other employee would be so brave? But she said exactly what needed saying. I don't know how to express how thankful I am to her. If I made an announcement without telling her, it would be a complete betrayal of her and all that she's done. You know, right?
私にできることといえば、彼女をねぎらうこと。そして、愛妻家というブランディングなど関係なくなるぐらい、我が社を成長させることか。
A big enough company should become immune to things like that, but no, stock prices are always vulnerable to public opinion. That's one weakness of running a company. The greater its reputation becomes, the more things there are to worry about.
くそ、もっと早くに愛妻家の件を否定できていれば。いや、そもそも結婚できていれば。
It's not as if I had no dating experience. The things always seemed to fizzle out before they could go anywhere. And it's always ended with the most cliche way possible. What's more important, me or your work?
どうして女は矛盾したことを聞くんだ。私から地位がなくなればどうせ誰も見向きもしなくなるくせに。
Every woman I met using my matching system said they wanted to be a president's wife. They approached because of my status. So I thought I had to protect my prestige and aim even higher, which just resulted in more ruined relationships. Why can't you understand how I'm feeling? Why can't we ever go out together? How many times have I heard those words? Every time I heard things like that, I couldn't help but think they were only with me because of my status. Aww. I've always wondered, why do you care so much about status and prestige and all of that?
逆に教えてくれ。どうしてお前は気にしないでいられるのか。
I heard sounds coming from her bedroom and turned in that direction. She must have been up and getting ready for the day. The image of her getting dressed popped into my mind. I pushed it away, but I couldn't feel my cheeks getting warm. This wasn't like me.
とにかく、そうだ。夫婦のふりを有事に向けて完璧にする。そのための朝食だ。
He's going to pretend to marriage, and he has to do it perfectly. Now that she's awake, I should get started on the bacon and eggs. I pulled the eggs from the fridge earlier and grabbed 2 of them. 2 eggs, 2 people. Something about it made me uneasy. I usually fix like 2 eggs per person. Is this what it means to be married? Even if it's technically fake, I'm still living the supposed married life. He's embarrassed. I shook my head to rid myself of these unfamiliar emotions, but the warmth of my cheeks still lingered. He's so cute. Yeah, hers is pink. Okay, his is green. It's funny, she just like walks into his bedroom to go check on him. Good morning. I got undressed and headed towards the living room. A delicious odor hung in the air.
ああ、おはよう。朝食できているぞ。
Oh, you actually made it. Thank you so much.
約束だからな。
Mr. Snell took off the apron he was wearing over his suit and brought me my breakfast from the kitchen. There was vegetable soup, bacon and eggs, toasted with jam, fruit and coffee. Wow, it's a proper full breakfast and it looks really delicious. I honestly had no idea you could cook like this.
すべて SS だからな。どの授業でも手を抜いたことはない。
So even in cooking class, he aimed for SS status. That does sound like the president I knew, and thanks to that, I was lucky enough to enjoy a delicious breakfast. Well, let's eat. I grabbed a spoon and started with the vegetable soup. It had a rich, healthy flavor. I couldn't hide my smile. It's really good.
そうか。喜んでもらえて何よりだ。
Mr. Snail's shoulders loosened up as he seemed to relax a bit. I guess he was concerned about my reaction. This is a new sensation. He has an image of the perfect working man, so it was kind of cute that he cared so much about what I thought. After I had taken a few more bites, he finally picked up his own fork and started eating. They had to sound effected and everything. But where's the conversation? I know he always has a backlog of messages in his morning, but still. He was just eating while staring at his phone and tapping away to respond to his latest emails. Last time he didn't look at his phone because there was a purpose to our conversation. There's no clear goal this time that didn't apply. It was nothing like being a married couple at all, more like two co-workers sitting near each other in the cafeteria. There's no save for this, so we're going to say something about work first. So, what's on your schedule for the day?
そうだな。
Even while he was thinking, he just kept on typing away. His response was completely half-hearted. I'm sorry, but if possible, I'd really like you to work with me on this so that we can appear more like a normal couple. I was worried I might be overstepping by bothering him while he was writing his emails, but finally he looked up at me.
夫婦間か。どうするのがいいだろうか。
To begin with, we should probably start calling each other by our first names. So is it okay if I start calling you Shelby? I love it. The music just stopped and he just got all blushy. I wonder how far I can go before it lines up to the other one. He seemed to freeze up. I got the sense maybe I was being a little too forward. It would only be while we're here at the home, of course. I looked at him nervously. He was wearing his patent brown, but after thinking about it for a few seconds, he nodded.
いや、確かにお前の言う通りだ。
That's so cute. On a first name
シェル
basis.
ビーでいい。その呼び名に慣れていた方がいいだろう。
She's gonna slip one day and call him Shelby out in public, and everyone's gonna be like, what? Okay, so let's go back up because this might be where it picks up now, I hope. Alright, say his name directly. Mr. Snail. Even as I said it, I caught myself. I suddenly realized that this was probably part of the problem. Shelby? Just as I said his name, Mr. Snail seemed to choke.
いきなりなんだ。
I'm sorry, I just thought it might help us seem like more of an actual couple sharing breakfast. Should I go back to Mr. Snail?
いや、いや、確かにお前の言う通りだ。
He liked you calling him his name. He was still coughing as he looked at me with a touch of embarrassment. After a moment, he sighed.
シェルビーでいい。その呼び名に慣れていた方が。
I went back to just double check, but yeah, the next thing that would have been after going back was this line right here, so I lined it up perfect. Great, so then Shelby, what are your plans for dinner tonight? I made a point of asking in a friendly way as possible.
今日はそうだな。たまには夕飯も一緒に食べるか。早く帰るようにしよう。
I want to say this is like really adorable. He's going to come home early to have dinner with her, but is this him just doing it to play his married life role to the SS rank that it can be, or does he actually care? I want to say like it's to play up his role to the maximum, but the way he's stuttering about it too, he does care a little bit. Or maybe he's just too embarrassed to say, I don't know. He just earned 100 devoted husband points.
お前が完璧な理想の妻だからな。私も努力をするだけだ。
Oh, we're the ideal wife, huh? He smiled at me as he continued to eat his breakfast. He said it so naturally, it made my heart skip a beat. Huh? The ideal wife? It made me really happy to hear him say that. It meant I was doing my job well. Although I'd be lying if I said that was the only reason. I'm just happy because I was able to impress such a perfectionist, right? Yeah, that had to be it. Whatever it was, I tried to push the feeling aside as I munched on my breakfast. And so it begins. The toast was light and crunchy. The toaster must be really expensive because our toast was always so tasty. Okay. Toastiness has nothing to do with tastiness, is what you put on it. But the toast this morning seemed even more delicious than the toast I had made for myself yesterday. Because you have Shelby cooking it for you. I don't know why they have to go through every cutscene just to show them progress down the street to work. After breakfast, I headed to the office as usual and made my way to my desk. I turned around and saw a group of people gathering near the wall. What's going on over there? Winners?
Ah, 来た来た。もう待ってたのよ。
Who won? Huh? What's going on? Paris motioned me over and I went to stand by the others. Several female employees started glaring at me. Oh my, I'm getting a sense of deja vu.
なんでこんなのが通るのよ。
Oh no. It was the same girl from the planning department. She stormed off and deliberately bumped into me on her way out. How rude. With no clue what was going on, I made my way to the center of the crowd. When I got there, my hand went to my mouth in surprise. An announcement had been posted with the results of the competition. I was nervous but slowly moved closer. When I saw the names listed, I gasped. Among the finalists, I spotted my own name. That's why she's upset.
そうか。お前の企画が通ったのか。
Uh-oh. So, what? He gets to pick a finalist? One of the finalists? That's... If he picks her, it's going to be favoritism. That's just my guess anyway. I had to go to Mr. Snail's office on other business, but mentioned the results while I was there. He listened as he worked. I was sure my entry had been picked thanks to his advice, so I wanted to make sure and thank him.
ほう。チャレンジ難易度、星5料理で婚活か。
Cookie with fire.
いいタイトルを考えたものだな。
Mr. Snail looked over my project proposal sheet along with the comments from the judges.
それに、この料理のチョイスも面白い。審査員が褒めるだけあるな。決裁時に改めて熟読させてもらう。
Yeah, if he's giving 3 finalists and he has to choose, I don't know. If I was put in that predicament, I'd be like I want to choose what I like, but even though people don't know that they're put together, I would feel weird choosing hers because it would feel like favoritism, even though no one knows about it. Whatever. I wouldn't have made it this far without your feedback. You were a huge help on this, so I wanted you to be the first one I told about. Thank you so much.
いや、企画が通ったのはお前の努力の結果だ。よく夜遅くまで企画を練っていただろう。
Huh? You saw me?
たまに企画書をやりながらリビングのソファーで寝落ちしていただろう。部屋まで運んだこともあったが、覚えてないか？
Oh, you carried her to the bedroom. Oh, now that you mentioned it, I did wake up on my bed once without remembering how I got there. I assumed I just sleepwalked to my room. It never would have occurred to me that he'd carry me. Sorry, I honestly had no idea. That must have been a big pain for you.
いや、いい。仕事熱心なのは良いことだからな。 それにそれだけの頑張りがあったからこそ審査員に認められたのだろう。よく頑張ったな。
Thank you. And of course she wouldn't get embarrassed about it. She's Cupid. She saw them all naked at the Parasite house and didn't say a word. This makes me so happy. I can't deny that it feels good to have someone recognize my work. That's something that only happens among humans. I guess that's part of why I like them so much. To be honest, my days down here have been so much more fulfilling than my time launching arrows down at as Cupid. Back in Celestia, connecting humans was simply expected of me, but if things went south, I never heard the end of it. But it's different here. If I get good results, I get praised for it. That's exactly how it should be. I'll be sure to keep working hard and help usher even more people into marriage.
ああ、頼りにしている。
Alright, I'm going to do this. Since my plan went through, I've been exempt from my normal duties in order to focus on this project. I chose a pretty unusual dish for the initial event too, so I guess I'd better learn how to make it. I really put extra effort into the part of the competition that asked us to do something nobody's done before. If a couple can face and overcome adversity together, they'll grow together. That's why I decided to make it pretty tough. Draw on a crowd with a simple concept like cooking, and then put them through a 5-star gauntlet to help them become closer. But first of all, I need to figure out the location since Cupid Corp doesn't have a kitchen on site. I chose a few candidates as soon as I started on the plan, and now I need to go and negotiate with each of them. If this is a success, it'll be the perfect chance for even more people to discover the joy of marriage. I wonder who she chose. And if I could do that, my promotion will remain a very real possibility. I have to beat my dad. I swear I'll prove to him just how amazing humans can be. But in order to do that, I need to give Cupid Corp even more exposure. It's pretty close to Mr. Snail's goal to bring the company to the national stage, which makes it easy for us to work together. Oh. Well then, if you'll excuse me. When my elevator arrived, I gave a small bow and got on. As the door closed, Mr. Snail gave me a quick wave before getting back to work. Starting today, my focus would be on bringing this new project to fruition. Step 1 was securing a location for the event. I started by making appointments to visit several public kitchens. Next up, I contacted a number of culinary experts to get a feel for how they would approach teaching a class like mine.
あら、こんな面倒な料理、この設備規模のスタジオでやるの？無理や無理！諦めなさい。あえてアドバイスするとしたら、まずは石窯を用意して、それと調味料はそこらで売ってないから。
Wait, let me write this down.
これが難易度星5料理ですって？もうこの食材で難易度星5なんて笑っちゃうよ。せめてスズメバチやハブでも用意して。
Well, the main point is to help with matchmaking, so I still want them to have a good cooking experience. I was running all over the place, trying to make my plan a reality. I'd also made flyers to recruit volunteers and contracted designers to come up with some advertisements. There was so much to do. I could really use some help on this. Some of my duties had been cleared, but I still had plenty of normal tasks I had to do, like preparing for daily meetings. I need to hand this off to General Affairs, then I have to get this ready to put in the mail.
次はこれを郵送すればいいのか？ならば私に任せろ。
Don't trust the spy. Peter appeared out of nowhere and plucked it from my hands. Peter, what are you doing here?
少し時間が空いてな。散歩をしていた。
Stroll?
うん。だからお前の手伝いでもしよう。郵送と他にすることがあるか？
Are you sure? Thank you. Then could you deliver this document to accounting?
おう、わかった。
He's going to sabotage you. Peter took the rest of the documents and wandered off. I felt relieved that someone was finally lending a hand, which was quickly replaced by the feeling of someone staring daggers at me.
何あれ、社長秘書を使うなんて偉くでもなったつもり？
Oh, get over it. She really hates me, huh? I wish we could work together on this, but I was sure that would just make her hate me even more. It would really be best if all employees could get along. After all, we all want more people to get married, right? All this infighting would just lead to more and more members leaving us for our competitors. I mentioned that to Clarice the other day, and she pointed out that people aren't that simple. I've been down here for 6 years, but I guess I still haven't become totally human. Living in human society can be so difficult. I got the feeling that even a full human lifetime wouldn't be enough to learn everything about what it meant to be human. That's how complex the differences between one human and another are, but that's also exactly what I like about them. Wait, no, I don't have time to be thinking about this right now. I have my next interview in just a few minutes. It was my job to do everything I could to help each member get married. After all, they're trusting us to help guide them through this great adventure called life. I'm home. I arrived to discover that for the first time, Mr. Snail had made it home first. Oh my goodness.
おかえり。夕飯は食べたか？
No, wasn't that the plan? I grabbed some food at the cafeteria. I'm so tired. I dropped my bag and flopped down on the couch. Mr. Snail had brewed some coffee, and he brought me a cup.
飲むか？
Oh, thank you. I thought he was getting off early to make dinner. Maybe this is a different day, I guess.
ちょうど自分でも飲もうと入れていたところだったからな。
Shelby, your coffee is always so delicious.
言い換えなくても別に平気だ。
No, I do. We're married after all, right? I made a conscious effort to switch over into married mode and continue the conversation that way.
ああ、そうだったな。リネット。
He mumbled to himself as he took this cup of coffee and sat next to me. I'm sorry. I was trying not to giggle during that.
それで企画の方はどうだ？
There's a lot to do, so it's pretty exhausting, but I'm also having fun, and of course, it's really fulfilling.
そうか。それはよかった。
And Peter has been helping out a lot too. Wait, did you tell him to do that?
まあ、企画部の人間が手伝えないと言っていたのを小耳に挟んだから代わりにな。
Could that girl from the planning department be... I had a bad feeling about it, but I kept quiet. I couldn't accuse someone without proof. I see. Well, thank you very much. He's been really helpful.
そうか。彼は優秀だろう。私も随分と助けられている。
It's true. He's like a completely different person compared to his time on Parasite House. It was pretty surprising. For example, he seems to know exactly where to find everything, and what everyone is up to is kind of creepy, actually. Maybe he's an ex-worker, and he went to work for your competitor. It reminded me of how Owen had mumbled to himself about something industrial spy previously. But Peter really does seem like a really good person, so I don't want to suspect him. So about my plan.
Shh.
Uh-oh. Huh? For some reason, Mr. Snail put his finger to my lips with an angry look on his face. He glanced out the window. What's the matter?
こっちへ来い。
Huh? What? Is he going to cuddle up to you? Oh, okay. Put on the show, quick! He stood up and grabbed my hand to get me to stand up with him. He pulled me under the stairs as if we were hiding from something. What's going on?
庭に誰かいた。何か反射するような光が目に入ったからな。おそらくカメラを持っている。
And you have all these glass windows. What would they say? The company president's rooming with his coworker. What, do you think it's the same person you were talking about before?
ああ、私を探っている誰かだ。だが庭に入ればすぐにセカムが来るはずなんだが。
That's why you should have phone notifications. That's strange. Maybe the sensor is broken.
もしかしたらセンサーを妨害するような機械を持って入ってきたのかもしれないな。
Is that possible? I guess my bow and arrow does the same thing to keep Lord Jupiter from finding me. The method was probably pretty different, but the end result was basically the same.
やはり誰かいるな。ほら、庭の防犯カメラに映っている。だが画質がやけに悪いな。
Go out there and chase him with a frying pan. He must have had some kind of app for the cameras. He showed me a video feed on his phone. There was definitely someone there.
拡大してもうまく映らないな。だがカメラを持っているのだけはわかる。
What are we going to do?
そうだな。取られたら困るし、お前はここにいろ。リビングには私が一人で行こう。
Huh? Why are you going out there?
ここに隠れていたら逃げられるかもしれないだろう。今のうちにセカムに連絡をして、あとは私が引きつけておけばいい。そうすれば捕まえられるかもしれない。
But if they realize he's calling a CCAM, they might run away. Him going out there alone might give them whatever proof they're looking for if he really wants to distract them. Wouldn't it be better to give them proof that you really are living together as a married couple?
は？
What are we doing? A few minutes later, after contacting CCAM security, Mr. Snell and I stood face to face in the bedroom with the curtains closed.
それでどうするんだ？
You're gonna cast shadows on the curtain so they have something to shoot. We'll use that light to cast a shadow like this. I knew it. Oh, I put my hand on his shoulder and craned my neck up towards his face. His shoulders twitched, and he pulled back when we were just a couple of inches apart. Look at the silhouette on the curtains, Mr. Snail.
影。
He was still tense as he looked to the side. When he saw what was there, he sighed and relaxed.
なるほど。影を。そういうことか。
I want a CG of this. On the curtain, the silhouette looked like we were kissing, thanks to the illusion of depth perception. I saw something similar in a Christmas movie, where the little boy used to chase away some burglars. It looks real, doesn't it?
はは、確かにそうだな。あとはもう少し。
A bit more. Mr. Snell had his arms around my waist and tried to change the angle to look more convincing.
こんなのはどうだ？
Oh, that's perfect. Now it totally looks like we're kissing. Just then we heard the sound of a photo being snapped in the backyard. It looked like the plan was working. You definitely look like a devoted husband now.
そうだな。まったく大層ないたずらを思いつくものだ。
Mr. Snell laughed innocently and loudly. I don't think I've ever seen him react this way. I've always wanted to try it ever since I saw it in a movie. Next up, let's use this. I grabbed a banana from the fruit plate nearby, but he stopped me before I could do anything else.
おいやめろ。それだけはやめろ。
Uh-oh. Are you allergic to bananas? Huh? I didn't do anything yet.
影でバナナなんて悪い想像しかできないだろうが。
Oh my goodness. I need a moment to stop blushing. But it was really funny in the movie. I've always wanted to try it out. I don't think she's thinking the same thing you are.
ダメだ。やるんじゃない。というか、お前は意味わかってるのか？
Then how about something like this? I put the banana down and took Mr. Snell's hand. I led him to the bed and got him to lie down. What now? I took off my shoes next to Mr. Snail and sat down next to him. Now it's complete.
これは何のポーズだ？
I'm pretending to be a wife making moves on her husband. Oh my goodness. I bent down to put my hands on the bed. From this side, the silhouette looked like I was on top of Mr. Snail. Oh my goodness.
これはすごいな。こんなもの見たら誰もが勘違いするに決まっている。
I thought she's supposed to be sickly and frail. Right, to the outside world, you're a workaholic, but at home you're a dedicated partner.
なるほどな。だが、私の方が押し倒されているのは侵害だ。場所交代だ。
Oh, he likes being in charge. He's not the submissive type. Mr. Snail smiled playfully and pointed to the bed he clearly wanted me to lay down. As directed, we switched positions and Mr. Snail got into position as if we were doing a push-up. Oh my goodness. Why am I reading this?
どうだ。これで私の方が押し倒しているように見えるか？
I would... This is why you turn the lights off during the real thing. He kept his push-up stance and looked at the curtain. The silhouette definitely looked like we were laying down on the bed kissing. That's perfect.
そうだな。
Since he was in that position, apparently he couldn't help himself. He actually did a push-up. Sir, don't do that. Imagine what the silhouette looks like.
すまない。つい癖でな。
Oh my goodness. This is starting to get awkward. Mr. Snow quickly froze. We looked towards each other and adjusted our positioning again. We waved our hands to look like we were hugging. I tried to move my legs up and down a bit. Okay. Wow, this silhouette thing is amazing. You totally look like a husband and wife. Oh my goodness. Anyway. I forgot to look at Mr. Snail. As I focused on the silhouette and the curtains, I started trying out more poses. Why would you like flaunt this? This is so embarrassing. I felt like the director of a movie. I did read a book once about how there are special ways to film things like this. I think we're movie directors now. We're really putting on a show. I raised my head up slightly to make it look like I was kissing him, but then Mr. Snail froze up.
映画監督か。確かにそうだな。だが、この映画はいつまで続くんだろうな。
So he just turned off the light and pretended to go to bed. He mumbled that to himself as he got up from the bed. As he brought the silhouette to a sudden halt, I stepped out of my daydream. He was staring out the window. I heard the intruder moving cautiously outside, probably reacting to Mr. Snail's movements. I quickly came to my senses. They're going to get away. I was hoping this would turn into something cute and romantic besides just like provocative display, but I ran up to Mr. Snail, took his hand, and embraced him tightly. I hoped that this would entice our peeping Tom.
何を？
The second people aren't here yet, and they might get away. Don't you want to catch them?
だからといって実際に抱きつくやつがいるか？
Mr. Snail put his hands on my shoulders to push me away. He removed his vest, looked out to the yard inside.
そこまで熱心にならなくていい。犯人を捕まえたいのは確かだが。
The next moment, Mr. Snail gasped. Oh? He grabbed my shoulders and forcefully changed the way we were facing. Oh, by take off his vest, he was like actually unbuttoning his shirt. Oh my. He pushed me against the glass window and towered above me. The shadow he cast over me caused me to open my eyes wide. Is he getting back into the silhouette show? That was what I initially thought, but his expression was too serious for that. I cautiously looked up at him. Is something the matter?
カーテンの隙間からカメラを持った人間が見える。お前の顔を撮られるわけにはいかない。
I know, right? Yeah, if they get her face, someone's gonna know. It's gonna be all over. That's when I realized that there was a gap in the curtains behind us. I could feel the cool sensation of the glass behind me. They changed directions to keep them from seeing my face from the yard. Thank you. I guess I was being kind of careless.
いや、私も油断していた。すまない。だが、この姿勢は好都合だ。犯人の顔が見えるかもしれない。
Sir, if you stare too long, they might notice.
だが、くそ、庭が暗いせいで、こちらからは相手の顔が見えないな。
Let's just let CCAM handle it. For now, we should focus on buying more time. He took me by the arm and pulled me into a position where I wasn't visible from the yard. We're still in the middle of our movie, and we need to act like a real married couple. Don't you agree, Shelby? I resumed the part of a loving wife, and Mr. Snail smiled in a slightly sad way.
なあ、リネット。この映画の終わりはなんだ？
Huh? When the camera crew in the yard goes home, I guess.
そうじゃない。いつまで妻と夫のふりをする。
Aw, I think he's enjoying your company. Until nobody questions it anymore. That's what we agreed on when we started our stage life together, after all. He did have a point, though. How long could we be expected to keep this up? The business meals with clients will likely keep going for a while. I don't mind doing it for as long as it's necessary.
それはどういう意味だ？
A shadow fell over me. He was even closer than before. I could hear the curtains rubbing against each other.
リネット、お前は恋をしたことがないと言っていたな。これからもするつもりはないと。
Yes, I did say that.
だが、それは今そう思っているだけで、いずれお前が誰かに恋をする時もあるだろう。その日が来るはずだ。
I like how he's all whispering to her. It seems intimate. I very seriously doubt that. Because I'm Cupid, I was about to say that, but I stopped myself. The creases in his forehead deepened.
お前はまだ若いから知らないだろうが、絶対ということはない。必ず想定外のことが起きるはずだ。
His face was nearly touching mine. I stared into his eyes up close. I've never really noticed them before. They were an icy cold blue with a hint of gray. I was struck by their beauty. They were like falling snow on a frozen land that I'd seen from Celestia. I held my gaze, and Mr. Snail spoke.
なあ、お前はなぜアドバイザーの仕事にそんなに熱心なんだ？
Huh?
金か地位か、何が目的なんだ？お前にとって大切なのは一体何だ？なぜそこまで頑張れるのか教えてくれ。
I'm going to prove my dad wrong. Was this a job interview? He fired questions at me like a police interrogation. I started breaking out into a cold sweat. Can't it just be because it's worth doing?
本当にそれだけなのか？そんなことが可能な人間がいるのか？
Yep, here comes the self questions. You just doing it just because? I could tell he doubted me. His eyes told me he didn't believe someone like that could possibly exist. I'm Cupid, so it's basically my instinct to do this. But if I say that, he'll think I'm teasing him and get annoyed. Even if I told him I wanted to prove my stubborn dad that humans can connect all on their own, he wouldn't believe me.
私はこれまで多くの社員を見てきた。だが、お前のようにここまで高いモチベーションを保ち続けている人はいなかった。
I feel like he's starting to admire her dedication.
昇格したいとお前は言っていたが、同時に地位には興味ないと言っていたな。どういうことなんだ？
Why was he staring at me with such concern? Were my eyes deceiving me somehow?
お前の望みを知りたい。今の生活をどう考えるべきか知るためにも。
My current life? What do you mean?
正直言って今の生活が私の理想だからだ。だがお前を利用している引け目が消えない。だから知りたいだけだ。雇用主が従業員の意思を確認するのは必要なことだろう。
He said it with an undeniably serious tone and stared straight into my eyes. He wasn't touching me or anything like that. We should have been focused on the silhouette show, but I was so confused. I didn't expect a sudden interview like this, and I definitely didn't expect him to say this life was his ideal. I heard more camera sounds coming from the yard. We were being photographed again, or at least our silhouettes were. I was frozen. I couldn't move a muscle, but somehow we had to act out our loving couple show. Just at that moment, Mr. Snail's phone rang. He jerked away from me and pulled the phone from his pocket. The screen said CCAM.
スネイルだ。
お疲れ様です。ご依頼通り家を包囲し退路を断ったのですが、申し訳ございません。逃げられてしまいました。
How'd they go from shooting pictures to getting away in like 5 seconds? Huh? I just heard the camera shutter. How did I know, right? How did they escape that fast? But I looked out into the yard and didn't see anyone there. How could that be? I was so confused by the fact that they had just vanished. It was straight out of a movie, like some kind of ninja or super spy.
逃げられたとはどのように？
それが我々の頭の上をポーンと飛んで、気がついた時には遠くに。
Definitely a ninja. It just leaped over you. Wow, they really are like a ninja. I said that Mr. Snail sighed deeply.
わかった。だが一応相手を見たんだろう。ならば髪色など特徴をまとめ報告書として提出してくれ。
White hair, tall.
はい。
それと周囲に不審な人間がいないか見てくれ。あとは庭に足跡などの形跡が残っていないかの確認も頼みたい。
かしこまりました。それでは失礼いたします。
一体どういうことだ？
Wait, I thought his vest was off and his shirt was unbuttoned and his tie was gone. How did he get dressed so fast? Whatever. We jumped over their heads. What some kind of world-class athlete are we dealing with? We looked at each other with obvious question marks on both of our faces. We really did hear those camera noises before, didn't we?
なあ、そのはずだが。
Does someone that athletic really exist? We stood next to each other, looking out into the yard, each of us lost in our own thoughts. Without warning, our shoulders accidentally touched and we both leapt back. Mr. Snail backed away little by little. His face was bright red, which caused me to blush as well. Why am I... You know, after all this is over, after the hype is all over, I would get really embarrassed right about now, thinking back on all the things we were pretending to do for the sake of this cameraman. Earlier, I had hugged him as part of our show, but now my heart was beating out of my chest. I think we can consider this a job well done for today. We definitely showed off how close we are.
そうだな。これ以上はあれだ。時間外業務になる。今日はもう休んでくれ。
Overtime. You're getting paid by the hour. Oh my goodness. This is so wrong on like so many levels. Of course, good night then. I gave him a quick salute and practically ran out of the room. It wasn't until I got to bed that I remembered we hadn't actually finished our conversation. What are your thoughts on this, Mr. President? Since I was alone, I was free to sigh as much as I wanted.
何をやってるんだ、私は。
No, right? Looking at things now, everything was missing its mark. I didn't get to talk to her, and the intruder managed to escape. I hadn't felt this agitated in a long time. Dealing with so many emotions was positively exhausting. But it was for the sake of the company. As long as I considered it part of my job, I could handle it. I sighed again and sat on my bed, then lowered myself down.
今日はもう寝るか。
It's gonna be hard to sleep after all that. I knew I needed to rest my mind. That would certainly improve my efficiency, and yet... What? I tossed and turned. I just couldn't get comfortable. A faintly sweet smell lingered on my bed. It must have been her scent. She was just in here after all. The delicate scent of a woman is distinct from that of a man.
そんなバカな。彼女がここに寝そべっていたのは一瞬だ。匂いがつくなんて、そんなこと。
Even if it was brief, the fact that she'd been on my bed, thinking about how defenseless she looked, made me restless all over again. A woman was living in my home. I hadn't thought much about it before, but that fact suddenly weighed heavy on me. I know. It's not just your employee, it's a woman. Starting to see her as a woman now. She was always so diligent at work that I hadn't really noticed anything feminine about her before today. But now it was different. She was undeniably a woman. I thought I understood that before, but...
落ち着け。部下だ。彼女は仕事の部下だ。今のもただの仕事の関係で。
He's like having a panic attack. A business relationship. Co-workers with benefits. I remembered the silhouettes we cast on the curtains. She was focused only on that, but that wasn't the case for me. To my eyes, the shadows were positively lewd. I honestly wanted to stop it. It was so awkward. That's why I jumped from the bed.
愛妻家だと噂されるようになってから、そうしたことからも遠ざかっていたしな。
At least someone's thinking about it, because yeah, that's... Oh my goodness. I'm already 32 after all, but no, that's much too young to pretend I am beyond feelings of desire. The act of pretending has stirred up desire. Goodness. Poor Mr. Snail. Put my hand on my forehead and stared up at the ceiling. I had to sleep or it would start to affect my work. But how am I supposed to sleep in this cloud of her scent? Oh, poor guy. So, this is all entertaining and stuff, but thinking from, like, trying to put myself in their situation, this is my boss, if we're pretending to do things like this to throw off suspicions, but still, it's your boss. Like, I know it doesn't mean as much to her, because she's, like, Cupid, and she doesn't have these human morals and stuff like that, but he is, and... I feel so bad for him that he was forced to do something that he didn't want to do. Because yeah, would have been incredibly awkward to pretend with an employee to that extent. Anyway, enough talking about that. I'm going to stop the episode for here. I'm probably going to keep reading just because I want to continue Mr. Snails, even though this will be video number 2 since my last Code Realized video, which is MP Parts 2. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like 2:30 in the morning. I should probably not start another episode because I have to talk for another 2 hours and I don't know if my voice can handle it. Also, my eyes are super sore from rubbing all the tears out of them from crying from laughing so much during that episode. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below and or subscribe if you want to see the rest of the Shelby Snail, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.